Díomh go léir agus fáilte roimh Cork higan ócáid seo, seoladh formúil de choláiste brethe idirchais agus lúnaí Corcaí. Ard Vera and Corla Colm Kelleher, Vera an Conte, Corla Gillian Coughlin, an Ara, Tusal Niall Collins, Coalty an Erictus, Privailcon Solis and Tusal Andrew Brownlee, and a Carhélic Bordic Aducas agus Lúnaí Corcaí, Corla Patrick Gerard Murphy, agus a Carja Galéir, a Hagan o Borda Aducas agus Lúnaí Corcaí, agus Trasna and Corcaí, tá fáilte Road Galéir. Good morning. I'm delighted this morning to welcome you all to this, the formal launch of Cork ETB's Cork College of FET. Lord Mayor Colm Kelleher, Mayor of County Cork, Councillor Gillian Collin, Minister Niall Collins, and members of the Oireachtas, Mr Andrew Brownlee, Chief Executive of Solis, Councillor Patrick Gerard Murphy, Chairperson of Cork ETB, our Chief Executive Dennis Leamy, and Martina Victorovich, and one of our learners, local representatives, colleagues, friends from Cork ETB and across Cork and the wider community. You are all most welcome, and it is indeed a wonderful day to see so many people together in person and to mark the start of our journey to redefine and reimagine further education and training in Cork. Before we begin, I'd just like to point out the safety exits in case, very slim case, and that we may have the need for them. There are exits over here on my left, on your right, and there are exits at the back of the hall there that you came through. And in the case of an alarm sounding, please make your ways calmly to those exits that are nearest to you. Today's launch marks the starting point of our journey in Cork ETB to create for the future of Cork the people and communities that stretch across this, Ireland's largest county, a college that learns from and builds on our past experiences to prepare for the opportunities and the challenges of the future. While we are disappointed that Taoiseach was unable to be with us this morning due to the unfortunate and troubling events in Eastern Europe, we are delighted to have Minister Niall Collins, Minister at the Department of Further and Higher Education, Innovation, Research and Science, with responsibilities for skills and further education with us. And as the Minister has pointed out, he's very much at home in Cork with his roots in very much the city of Cork. And you're delighted to have you with us this morning, Minister. And we're equally delighted to have Mr Andrew Brownlee, Chief Executive of Solis, with us this morning. Andrew, in his role, has been the driving force and energy behind the national developments in further education and training, and the ambitious agenda and goals set out for FET, in future FET Transforming Learning, the National FET Strategy. So you're very welcome, Andrew, here this morning. We are honoured to have the first citizen of Cork City, our Lord Mayor, Councillor Colm Kelleher, with us this morning. And I'd now like to call on the Lord Mayor to say a few words to you. Lord Mayor, thank you.
Very welcome here this morning to the launch of Cork's College of FET, Cork's Further Education and Training Service. Minister Collins, County Mayor, Councillor Patrick Gerard Murphy, Dennis Leamy, Andrew Brown, Chief Executive of Solis, and John Fitzgibbons. It's an honour for me to be here in my capacity as Ard Vera Corky Armagh to officially launch and introduce Cork's Further Education and Training Service. This was, as you know, being live streamed this morning, and the Mayor of the county is joining us from one of the centres down in Clonakilty. With over 60 centres across the city and county, Cork Education and Training Board is one of 16 ETBs and further education training centres that are across the city and county, as I said. The Further Education Training College was identified in the Future FET Transformation Learning Strategy of 2020 to 2024, and the document sets out the characteristics of the FET College, of how the future should be. As we all know, the Taoiseach was due to join us here this morning, but unfortunately due to events on a European level and with the unfolding situation in Ukraine, he can't join us here this morning, but I'm delighted that the Minister for State Collins is here to represent the government at an official launch. I've been at many launches advice in relation to many different organisations since I've become Ardvera Corky, and one thing that I find very endearing is that Cork is a learning city. We're a UNESCO City of Learning, and we're constantly striving to better ourselves in all respects, but in particular in education. We recently incorporated a second university in MTU, and I'd like to acknowledge the President of UCC who's here this morning with us. But you know, all avenues of education are available to every skill set within our city, whether it be at a university level, whether it be at a technical college level, whether it be our technical university level now. But from, you know, an Bunskull, go dtí an Manskull, go dtí an Ulskull, tá sé fíor háchtach that we do put all provisions in place to allow anyone that does want to enhance their own skill sets and enhance their learning, that they can do it in Cork. And I'm very proud that we are a UNESCO City of Learning. As Lord Mayor, I had the privilege of signing that document, the UN Charter, incorporating us yet again as a UNESCO City of Learning, something that was incorporated by a previous incumbent of my office, Councillor Tony Fitzgerald. The Cork training centres, along with the Cork College of Commerce, St John's College, Coláiste Stefan Nefa, Mallow College and the Kinsale campus and the Kinsale College, is a testament of how networking can work within the city and county, the largest county in the country. And the further education centres, they offer a level of programmes from Clonakilty to Kinsale to Ballincollig to Bishopstown. I'm, as I said, delighted to be here in my capacity this morning as Lord Mayor. I found it very endearing in relation to the signs that she had outside this morning. I see students from Coláiste Cullen, my alma mater, out in Ballincollig. So I was very delighted to see that. So look, again, it's an honour and privilege to be here. And again, you know, as we move forward as a learning city, I hope that this is the start of many new organisations and new institutions that spring up along our way. Gurmil Mahagov Killer.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, for those words. And can I just say that it's very much our ambition that through Cork College of FET and that Cork ETB continues to contribute to the growth of Cork City and Cork County as leaders in lifelong learning with our partners in higher education and in all parts of the education world. And as you said, recognising the President of UCC here this morning, one of our significant partners there, and that we will continue to build and that pathway and that journey for every learner. And I believe we both share an affinity with Coláiste Cullen many years ago, Lord Mayor. I'd now like to hand over to my colleague, Ms Teresa O'Sullivan, Adult Education Officer in our FET Centre in Clonakilty. Before I hand over to Teresa, can I explain that our use of two centres today, linked digitally for today's launch, was not simply a means of keeping the numbers within safe limits, and that, because bearing in mind that COVID is still with us, although we're gradually moving out of that crisis, and that, but more so it's a demonstration of the commitment within the strategy that we've set out for Cork College of FET, and to use digital technologies and to enable us to bring learners closer to the education that they need. There are so many people across Cork City and County that have been unable to physically attend the institutions that provide our FET services. That through the experiences of the last 2 years in particular, we've identified and we've seen how digital technologies can enable people to engage with learning, to engage with training, regardless of where they are. And for that purpose, we are linking today with one of our centres in Clonakilty. But as we roll out Cork College of FET, that digital access, that digital capability, and that will be very much at the core of what we're doing, and that we will underpin our ambition to provide a pathway, be it a digital pathway or a physical pathway for every learner. So can I hand over to Teresa O'Sullivan in Clonakilty now? Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Lord Mayor. Good morning to everyone in Morrison Island campus, and good morning to everyone. Good morning to everyone here in Clonakilty. I'd just like to welcome everybody and in particular I'd like to welcome our County Mayor, Gillian Coughlin, and our Chairperson, Patrick Murphy. It's an honour to be hosting this event this morning in Clonakilty. It's our newest FET facility, even though it has a presence here for a long number of years, going back to the 1900s, and our FET service has been in Clonakilty since the late 1980s. But we'll talk about that a bit more in our future speeches now. So I'm going to call first on our County Mayor, Gillian Coughlin, to say a few words. Thanks, Gillian.
Ard Vera, a Ara, a Chorlor, agus a Chorda. Good morning. Good morning from Clonakilty on this beautiful, bright morning. And it is an honour for me, both as Mayor and as a teacher, to be here for the launch of Cork College of Further Education and Training. Streaming live to this centre today underpins the commitment and ambition that are central to Cork Education and Training Board's strategic development of further education and training. Cork ETB serves one of the largest areas in the country, both in size and population, and offers education services that span over 125 kilometres from Castletownbere to Connacht. This centre, while it has been given a great new look, has a long history of education provision here in Clonakilty. Formerly, the Technical and Vocational School, and until last year, it accommodated both post-primary and PLC students from Clonakilty Community College. The Clonakilty Centre of Cork College of FET is one of 60 centres in Cork and provides a broad range of programmes and courses within the wider West Cork area. Providing these opportunities for lifelong learning and development in all areas of the county, regardless of age, location or background, is crucial. Centres such as this are key to inspiring new careers and new businesses, as well as employment and growth in rural areas. The importance of accessibility and connectivity has been brought to the fore over the past number of years. We are embracing new possibilities and adapting our lifestyles with remote working and a newfound appreciation of our local areas. Cork County Council is currently working with the Education and Training Board in Cork to develop a new remote working and learning centre here in the centre in Clonakilty. The hub is being developed as part of the Council's remote working centres, hub of remote working centres across the county, and will be formally launched shortly. Cork County Council looks forward to continuing to develop the great partnership that exists with Cork ETB and working together to enhance the provision of education and the delivery of service across Cork County. I would like to wish Cork College of Further Education and Training every success in the future, and I look forward to further collaboration to ensure educational excellence is accessible to everyone of our citizens across the county. Gurv Magwe Vacorda.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I'd now like to call on Patrick Murphy, our Chairperson, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Good morning, everyone. Everyone who is either here in Clonakilty or in Cork. And this link is very, very important. I suppose demonstrates what we're trying to achieve with the Cork College of FET. And also, I suppose, at this stage, it's very important to welcome anybody who's linking in. I know a number of people have said to me they're linking in on the Cork ETB YouTube channel. So a warm welcome to everyone who's taken that opportunity to link in this morning. To the Mayor beside me, Gillian Coughlin, the Mayor of Cork County, to the Mayor of the City, Lord Mayor of the City, Colm Kelleher. I need to welcome Minister Niall Collins. It's great to have you here, Minister, in Cork. It's your brief that we are trying to achieve, and we look forward to working closely with you in achieving all the targets that your department has. To Andrew Brownlee, CEO of Solis. Solis are our national partners in delivering further education and training. I suppose to all our ARCS members who are present as well, and to local representatives. It's very important that I welcome, I know a lot of we had a board meeting last night of Cork ETB, and a lot of people were either going to attend in person or link in through the Cork YouTube channel, so a warm welcome to them. We have a very hard working board and very, I think, innovative in future, innovative and forward thinking board, and I just commend them for their efforts over many years. I suppose we have a lot of stakeholders joining in as well this morning. We value our close links with the business community. I know there's a lot of business leaders attending in Cork, and also the Chamber, and we welcome them. We value our link with the business community. The training courses we design and devise and deliver are very much fit for industry purposes, and we value that interaction, I suppose. And then finally, a huge welcome to all the staff and the team of Cork ETB, to Dennis Leamy, the Chief Executive, to John Fitzgibbon, Director of FET, who's put huge amounts of effort into getting us to this point today where we're launching this Cork College of FET, and to all the principals of the Cork colleges, and to all the staff who have embraced this innovation and change wholeheartely and have contributed greatly to the development of this strategy. And I thank you ever so much for your participation and your commitment to achieving that. I suppose at this juncture, I think it's important to put Cork ETB in context. Cork ETB is the second largest ETB in the country, but coupled with that, we have a huge population which is put aground with a huge county to serve. We have towns and villages scattered all over the county. From the Beara Peninsula, the Mizzen Peninsula, to the Sheep's Head Peninsula, all the ways up to Youghal and Charleville. The geographical footprint is enormous, and it's a huge challenge to deliver quality services to all individuals equally around that geographical footprint. You couple this with the diverse range of industries that we have to prepare learners for taking advantage of the opportunities in these industries: biopharma, ICT, life sciences, agriculture, fishing, tourism. The task of providing the skills to fuel these industries and economy as a whole is a challenging one. I suppose even more challenging is the vast geographical area, and what we are all about today and what we are launching today is trying to provide equal opportunity for people to access quality training in a location that is really, really close to them, negating their necessity then for either to relocate to Cork or to travel long distance to a training centre. And this is what we are all about today, to mitigate against this. The Cork College of FET and the soon to be launched FET College of the Future, we hope will serve the people of Cork well in providing the education and training needs of the people of Cork, and in turn fuel the vibrant and diverse businesses and industries in Cork County with the skills necessary for them to thrive and to grow. I wish the team in Cork ETB who are tasked with putting this in place, this is just the first step. There's a long road ahead, and I wish them well in their endeavours, and I'm sure in a number of years' time we will see the fruits of their labour, and we will see a Cork College of FET perfected over that period of time. So thank you very much, and I wish you all well. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chairperson. Before we hand back to Martin Islands Key, I'd just like to say a few words. So I suppose Cork College of FET underlines the commitment of Cork ETB to developing education within and with the communities in Cork, aiming to strengthen and expand provision, programme quality and options for local communities. Our local FET centres are community resources and will continue to prioritise social and active inclusion, supporting the inclusion of learners of all abilities in society, with special reference to bridging and foundation skills. The additional support and streamlining the Cork College of FET will bring will lead to easier access and further enhancement of the quality of the learner experience. Cork College of FET will also allow us to develop new and more accessible ways for programme delivery, In particular, we look forward to the digital opportunities Cork College of FET will offer learners in the FET centres in our more rural communities. Partnership is an integral part of our planning and programming. Clonakilty Centre clearly evidences the partnership with other agencies, in particular Cork County Council, and we are delighted to be streaming from our new hub in Clonakilty this morning. Cork College of FET will support the ongoing development of lifelong learning within communities, transforming learning while supporting learners on programmes at all stages in their lives. IT will allow us to provide more options, strengthen and streamline progression routes while maintaining or increasing where demand dictates our basic and community programmes in all our communities. Thank you, and I will now hand you back to our CE Dennis Leamy in the Morrison Islands campus.
Thank you, Teresa, and good morning, everyone. You're very welcome to the launch of Cork College of FET. Lord Mayor, County Mayor, Minister of State Niall Collins, Chakti Dala, Cohera Cork ETB Patrick Gerard Murphy, and Andrew Brownlee, Chief Executive of Sodus. Fáilte Rove Galéir ar Margin chun seola formúil an Coláiste Bhreisídicas agus a Lúna Corcaí ag Áras Stát Niall Collins a Céilúra. Is ó cád san túsach é seo de gach éine hagan faoi Bhórdidicas agus a Lúna Corcaí. Tá méid ag súil go mór leis na deisina a bhaineann leis an tionscnamh seo a cuireann go mór le ár star agus taithí san airnáil seo agus a thaispáineann na deisina Bhreisídicas agus a Lúna atá going anois a bhfuil fásaithe, salútha agus ní cuimsithe go háirithe agus a cuireann ar bhalamóirí agus ar bubble I gcuir lár an Coláiste nua. Cork College of FET is the new identity of Cork Education and Training Board's further education colleges, training centres and services. But today is not just simply a rebanding exercise. It is for all of us in Cork ETB an opportunity to acknowledge the significant contribution and history of further education and training in Cork, and the contribution that Cork ETB and its predecessors have made to the growth and development of further education and training in the region as part of the national education and training system. In the last 5 years, over 100,000 learners have engaged with our services, of whom 25,000 have graduated from our colleges and training centres in courses ranging from art to veterinary nursing, instrumentation to motor mechanics. Cork ETB, Cork College of FET, is fully aligned with the ambitions of the strategy of the Department of Further Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science, and also with the Sodus strategy, Transforming Learning. It will deliver on the ambitions and objectives of these strategies, and its establishment underlines Cork ETB's commitment to developing skills, providing pathways for learners, and building a truly inclusive, community-focused model for FET delivery in the region. Cork College of FET is a key pillar within Cork ETB. It sits alongside our primary schools, post-primary schools and colleges, and the extensive youth services that we deliver. Our mission through our colleges, through our centres, through our campuses, is to enable and support every learner on their learning journey and contribute to the social and economic well-being and development of the region. Today, we mark the establishment of Cork College of FET, and over the coming months and years, the process of reshaping and realigning Cork ETB's further education and training services will continue, with the direction and priorities for the college being underpinned and guided by the following priorities. Firstly, developing skills. Second, fostering inclusion. And third, enhancing pathways. Now, some of those most visible and immediate changes, and you've heard about some of them already, as a consequence of the establishment of the college, will be seen in our Level 5 and Level 6 delivery in colleges and centres that were previously described as post-even certificate colleges and training centres. However, over the lifetime of the change programme, Cork College of FET, through digital technology, will become more visible in every town and community across Cork. It's our vision to ensure that people and communities from Castownbear to Youghal and from Cove to Charleville and all in between will have equal access to a suite of education and training programmes that Cork College of FET will provide. Cork ETB has been a leader in developing and supporting lifelong learning to meet the demands of the future, to provide flexible, adaptive and relevant experiences that meet the needs of learners and employers, society and the economy. New and alternative approaches to delivery will be a central feature to the Cork College of FET and its contribution in extending lifelong learning opportunities. So developing and implementing innovative models with a significant focus on the opportunities that digitalisation provides will allow for a more diverse cohort of learners to engage with FET in towns and communities across the community, regardless of their location. It will also meet the needs of business, employers and enterprise as they seek to grow and develop in the years ahead. We will not alone continue to meet the needs of learners entering the workforce, but we will increasingly focus on people who are in employment so they maintain their currency of skills and develop new skills to meet the future needs of employers. The links and relationships between Cork ETB, our higher education partners, and thank you again to Professor John O'Halloran for being here, UCC and also MTU, and the local authorities are unique, and we genuinely have what we refer to as a strong ecosystem of education across Cork, training and collaboration in Cork. So Cork College of FET will work to further develop pathways and opportunities for learners to move seamlessly from one level to the other and back and forward and to all the various levels right across our systems, and ensure that inclusion for all learners is enhanced and extended. Our people, our teachers, our tutors, our trainers, our instructors, our leadership teams, our administrative and our support staff are all key to co-creating and delivering this ambitious future for Cork College of FET. I really want to thank you for embarking on the journey so far and for having that shared commitment to delivering an adaptable, flexible further education service for all learners now and into the future. The establishment of Cork College of FET marks the beginning of an exciting journey for Cork ETB and the region. While the initial part of this journey, its development, will continue over the coming years to deliver on Cork education primary purpose and primary commitment, that of providing a pathway for every learner. Gurb Míle Maith Guibh Léir.
Thank you, Dennis. And as Dennis mentioned in his words there, and that this is a shared journey. It's a journey that many of us and that are putting our faith in and our commitment in because of the aims and the aspirations and the outcomes that we believe and that we can achieve through this restructuring. But that journey requires a certain amount of faith. It requires a certain amount of change, significant change in some ways. And this morning we're in an institution which can trace its history back to 1908, as well as Cork College of Commerce, as it has previously been known. Our colleges, as Dennis have said, our training centre, have all committed to the process that we're undertaking this morning, or launching this morning. And one of the outward expressions of that, small thing, but a very significant element, is changing names, changing identity. And that requires everybody to have faith in that and to put trust in the direction we're going. And I'd like to thank our staff and our principals and our management across those centres for embarking on this journey with us. But this morning I'd like to call on our host, one of those managers from this centre, going back to 1908, but she wasn't here in 1908, and Miss Helen Ryan to say a few words to us. Helen, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to be standing in front of you this morning with so many key policymakers and people who are equally passionate about education and training, because that's where it's all at. There's a long, long tradition of education in Cork as a UNESCO learning city. Part of the fabric of Cork has always been about learning. The VEC formerly and then the ETB were part of that journey. And I simply stand here today representing all of my colleagues in my fellow colleges, campuses, centres, and everybody else who's invested in Cork ETB, where we've been and where we're going. As John said, formerly the School of Domestic Science and Commerce, I wasn't quite old enough to remember that, but back since then, what was the College of Commerce was part of the integral fabric of Cork City, meeting the needs of employers and providing the skills necessary. I'm not quite that old, but I do remember when I started in 1987 here, that we were in the last year of providing post-primary education also. All of our centres provided post-primary and organically grew into further education to meet the needs of a changing Cork at that time, and we were part of that. It was an organic development, and when I started here in the college, we were accrediting our courses ourselves in line with the needs of the community. After that, we became NCVA accredited, then FET accredited, moving on to QQI accredited, which is where we are now. All of our colleges and centres are equally delighted to be part of this historic transformation. It's about change, it's about moving forward, but also acknowledging the deep and integral history of Cork and its learning and how we were there. I see our previous Chief Executive is here with us this morning, who brought us through the transformation and the amalgamation of Cork City and County, and our training centre brought everybody under the umbrella, and then our current Chief Executive will be leading us into the future. At the time, we did serve the needs of industry, and now it has fancier names like Industry Liaison, Industry Connect, but we were always connected to industry in Cork and to local businesses. In more recent years, we began to see the merit of linking with our other educational partners, and the notion of progression grew and flourished, to the point where now people engaging in further education and training have maybe one of two goals in mind: either to move on to a career where they've gained the skills, or maybe to progress to higher education. The ETBs, further education, have found their place in the sun in recent years. We've become a respected part of the educational fabric. We have engaged with our higher education partners, MTU, UCC. We have tremendous transformational links. We're able to make things possible for our learners that were never possible before. And further education is where it's at. It's a magical place to be because it transforms learners. When they engage with us between September and May, a magical thing happens. Somewhere along the way, they discover how wonderful they can be. And a lot of people historically who started in further education, they don't see themselves as policymakers or world changers, but they are. And during that year or 2 years that they spend with us on the pathways, they begin to realise that they could be anything. And that's the whole point of what we do. So that brings us to now. And now we're in a space where we're moving forward. So we're moving forward with this big transformation. It isn't just a rebranding. It isn't about us just renaming ourselves. It's about our new campus structure so that we all become campuses of Cork College of FET. Within those campuses, we have a new aligned department. So under all of the departments, which are common across all the campuses and centres, we are moving towards centres of excellence. We are moving towards a coherent and cohesive ability to deliver, so that there is clarity for local industry, for our higher education partners and the public about what we do and how we do it. It increases our collegiality. It increases our pathways. It explores new options for us so that we're all working together to make those pathways work all the way from level 1 to level 6. We are moving into another exciting phase. So recent times has created a digital transformation, whether we liked it or not. And let's face it, we didn't like it at the time, but we did it. And in the spirit of further education and training, we transformed and adapted and became flexible to this new way of learning, to this new platform. And now we have again discovered we can do anything. We can teach learners that are not in the building. We can teach learners when we're not in the building. We can teach learners when nobody's in the building. We can pretty much do anything. We can talk to our colleagues anywhere in Cork. We can pretty much reach into the depths of every community there is moving forward, and that's the way it should be, because ETBs are magic, and that's where we want to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. I've never heard this described as magic before, but I think there's a lot of resonances in what you said. But you mentioned several times there about what we can do for learners and that the impact we have on learners, the need to meet the needs of learners and to help them on that journey, wherever that journey is going to take them. And learners are at the heart of the changes we're making. They're at the heart of the approach that we want to implement through Cork College of FET. And I'm delighted this morning to be able to ask Miss Martina Victorovich, who's one of our students in St. John's, now the Douglas Street campus, studying Level 6 illustration and a member of the Board of Management of that campus, and to come up and say a few words for us. Martina, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, my name is Martina Victorovich and I am a student at the Douglas Street campus, formerly known as St. John's Central College. It is a great honour for me to be here today to speak to you as a learner about my experience with further education and what brought me here. I have always been an incredibly ambitious and academic student. However, when it came to my Christmas break of leaving cert, I had no idea what I wanted to pursue. I knew that I liked art and drawing, and I hadn't had a portfolio made at that time, so I didn't see myself being able to progress on to Crawford. However, it was my art teacher at the time, Miss Kiley, who suggested that I apply for the Art, Craft and Design course at what was formerly known St. John's Central College. From the praise that she had given this course alone, I knew that it was the place for me. A place where I could make my portfolio, develop my skills further, and not have to worry about the immediate pressure of a university. I ended up not applying to the CAO that year at all, but instead only making my application to this one course. In retrospect, that was a very risky move on my behalf. However, luckily it did turn out okay for me, and I managed to get a place. Over the course of that year, I learned more about my craft and myself than I could ever possibly fathom. The amount of support, patience, guidance, encouragement, and praise given not only to me, but to every single person in my class and in my course was immeasurable. I have never before been in such a wonderful environment where everyone cared so much for your growth and improvement. Nothing was ever too much of an ask for any of the teachers or staff. Of course, that is not the end of my journey. As I progressed through the year and made my portfolio with the endless support and help of my course coordinator, Ray, I realized that I was not ready to leave. I applied to Crawford College of Art and Design to study fine art, and I got a place. However, I declined. Instead, I chose to stay on and try out the Illustration Level 6 course with the hopes of progressing on to MTU this year. And that brings us to where I am today. Upon writing this speech, I took time to reflect on what is that draws me to further educational courses. And what stood out to me was not only the incredibly supporting and encouraging environment that I have got to experience thus far, but also the flexibility that such courses offer. The ability to try something out, to experiment, and to make the most of the opportunities that come your way. It is a wonderful, wonderful resource to be able to commit to a one-year course over a four-year university degree to discover what you would like to pursue and still retain the highest quality of education. I know that that really helped me make my decision in where I want to go. I also cannot move on without commending FET courses for their accessibility. I have spoken to many people of various backgrounds and various age groups who said that they would not have been able to progress on and achieve the things that they have without such courses. And this is something that I kindly ask the Cork Colleges of FET to continue to strive towards, as I think that everyone in this room can agree that education should be accessible to all. There should be no boundaries or limits on anyone. When I was asked by our principal, Paula, to come here today and say a few words, I could not have been more happy to oblige. I am extremely grateful for the opportunities and support offered to me over these past 2 years, and once again, I am extremely honoured to be here today. I hope that my words have offered some insight, and I'm eager to see the progress of the Cork Colleges of FET. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martina. And as one of our FET learners, and that the story that Martina tells is her story. It's a story of many learners and that who come to further education and training. But right across the spectrum of further education and training courses through our PLCs, our apprenticeships, both the craft apprenticeships and the new apprenticeships, our adult and literacy and community education programs, there's avenues and pathways for every learner. It would be fair to say, I think, that further education and training for very often was in the twilight part of the education system. And it's taken policymakers and that with commitment, with vision, and that to bring it into the same part of the system as everybody else, to shine the light on it. And our next speaker very much has been one of those policymakers who has a firm commitment to the development of further education and training and all that it can be to every learner, not as an alternative to, but just another part, another choice within the education system. So I'd like to call on our Minister, Niall Collins, to say a few words. Thank you, Minister.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm delighted to be here today on behalf of Untitled Chapter Martin, who sends his apologies, which I'm sure you know and understand, and on behalf of the Government to launch the Cork College of Further Education and Training. And I'd like to extend my thanks to John Fitzgibbons, Director of FET in Cork ETB, and today's Master of Ceremonies for the kind invitation, and to Claire Creedon for organising this event, and to Helen Ryan, Principal of Cork College of Commerce, our host, and finally, of course, to the Mayor, Lord Mayor of Cork City, Colm Kelleher, and Mayor of Cork County, Councillor Gillian Collin, for their attendance. I'd also like to acknowledge, of course, Councillor Pat Gerard Murphy, Chair of Cork ETB, Andrew Brownlee, CEO of Solace, acknowledge also Professor John O'Halloran of UCC, and I'd like also to acknowledge my former Oireachtas colleague, Kieran Lynch. And I'd like to thank all of the participants who have spoken so eloquently here today, and in particular thanks to our learners who have provided us with their insights and their experiences with FET. I feel that today's event is particularly an appropriate occasion to acknowledge the great work undertaken by John Fitzgibbon and, of course, Dennis Leamy and all at Cork Education and Training Board. They have made considerable progress in reshaping FET services in Cork to meet the aspirations and the ambitions set out for the sector in the National Further Education and Training Strategy. The 5-year strategy, which we launched in 2020, acknowledges the key role of FET in driving both economic development and social cohesion. It sets out a roadmap for the sector to build around 3 core pillars: building skills, fostering inclusion, and facilitating pathways to a more strategic and integrated FET system. The strategy will build the FET contribution to a more collaborative and cohesive national tertiary education system. This involves simplifying the FET structure, improving access, and of course supporting learners. The objective is to create a distinct, diverse and vibrant community-based FET college of the future. This is key to the success of the strategy and will be earmarked by inclusivity and equal access, clear access and progression pathways, flexible learning opportunities in a single integrated college structure, delivery of skills on the skills agenda, embedded sustainable development principles, and students equipped with environmental awareness and green skills to drive future change. Today's launch is a major stage in that evolution for Cork ETB. Cork College of FET creates a single integrated FET college structure where existing colleges, centres and services become more closely integrated. It builds upon past achievements of Cork ETB while becoming an exemplar of the FET College of the future. It will provide an opportunity for everyone to engage in learning while delivering on the critical skills needs of the economy and the future world of work. A core feature of Cork College of FET is the development of a digital ecosystem and infrastructure. This will extend course offerings to individuals and communities previously unable to access education and training opportunities. This will foster and support the development of skills and learning pathways. It will also ensure inclusion and participation for learners across and within the communities of Cork. As Minister at this new Department of Further and Higher Education, I am particularly invested in the promotion of FET. I know the value that FET can have to any individual, irrespective of their age, ability or educational background. Further education and training is truly for everyone and is available in every community in Ireland. It offers every individual, regardless of previous education levels, a pathway to take them as far as they would like to go. This government is committed to realising the potential of the FET sector and supporting the implementation of our FET strategy. We are providing targeted resources for its implementation. The new phase of capital investment in the further and higher education sectors was announced recently, with some 45% of the total allocation of €430 million being directed to FET. This includes the expansion of skills centres, apprenticeship programmes across the country and the establishment of FET colleges of the future. This is a proud day for Cork ETB, a proud day for Cork, and I'm delighted to be able to join you here today, this morning, and to wish Cork College of Further Education and Training a bright and successful future. Gurb Mahagat.
Thank you for those words, Minister Collins, and the support that this government has placed behind FET is something that we fully appreciate and look forward to building on the commitments that we're making as well as the government are making in the years ahead. I mentioned in my introduction that significant change and that is underway in FET has been underway for a number of years, and it gathered pace in 2013 with the establishment of the ETBs in Solas. One of the principal architects and driving forces behind this change and that is the current Chief Executive of Solas, Mr. Andrew Brownlee. On behalf of Cork ETB and Cork College of FET, I'm delighted to be able to invite Andrew to address you this morning. Andrew, thank you.
Lord Mayor, County Mayor, Minister, Councillors, Chief Exec, President, distinguished guests, it's a real honour to be here at the launch of Cork College of Further Education and Training. As John mentioned, Solas has been working with Cork Education and Training Board and indeed all the other 15 ETBs to transform learning effectively, to grow the contribution of further education and training and apprenticeships, all that incredible value that you heard about from Helen, to meet the rapidly evolving needs of our society and economy. And look, we can all see that changing by the day. The Future Further Education and Training Strategy, which is actually called Transforming Learning, has one central ethos, and the Minister's kind of stolen my thunder a bit on that one, but I'm going to repeat it because I think it is really important. Further education and training is for absolutely everyone. It's available in every community, in every single corner of the country. It doesn't matter what level of formal education that you have, it's going to offer you a pathway to take you as far as you want to go. And the Further Education and Training Strategy has 4 simple goals that are kind of built around that central ethos. First of all, making access to further education and training much easier. Like, we have 34 different confusing programmes in it, and it just doesn't work if you're trying to figure out what learning works for me and where is it going to take us. Simplify those pathways through the further education and training system. Create a real distinct sense of what a learner experience is across further education and training. And finally, build a stronger identity. And to do that, the strategy talked about creating an integrated FET College of the Future concept. And it really is great today to see Cork Education and Training Board take that first step on the journey. And I do know that it's a tough decision. There are already colleges here, training centres, further education and training centres and facilities here with real strong identities already, really rooted in their communities, some with over a century of history. And I recognise that today's announcement kind of requires a bit of a leap of faith from all of you on your part, but I really do believe that this is critical and this is important if we're going to build that profile, build that contribution for further education and training and apprenticeship. Because despite the local knowledge of what you all do, I think most people are missing what I think is the best kept secret. That not only do you get a great college experience, in further education and training, but it's a completely unique experience with, incredible hands-on practical learning, links to industry, links to the community, tailored learning support, pathways into incredible careers, pathways into higher education, a sense of community, and no doubt it will give you friends for life. So I think, as Helen says, it's a truly magical place to be, but we need to do things like this to try and get that message out there and try and get more people to come in and experience that magic. I think, the steps that are happening here is really indicative of the work that goes on in Cork. And, you mentioned the UNESCO status as a city of learning, the Learning City development. I've been involved in some of those events and I've watched them from afar as well. And one thing that's really clear is that the ETB, MTU, UCC all have a clear sense of what your role is in kind of serving your region here. But also making sure that you work together to offer those kind of seamless pathways for everyone, so that, as we've said in the promise and in the ethos, there's a pathway there to take you as far as you want to go, no matter what your background is. And everyone in Cork, I think it would be fair to say, because of that partnership work, has a sense of where to go to get the learning that they need and the support that they need at all times. So I'd just like to finish with a bit of a promise. You mentioned that you're on the beginning of a journey, and the Minister, the Department, Solace, can promise that we'll provide the funding to support the delivery of what you're trying to do and the completion of that journey. We've already seen in recent weeks the launch of a major FET College of the Future capital call. And that's designed to provide capital funding essentially for 4 things, which is what today's announcement is all about. To support consolidation, to support integration, to support the development of kind of specialised centres of excellence across ETBs, and to support collaboration with higher education. There's also work alongside that to look at changing the way that we fund the actual provision by ETBs. And I see Ted Owens here, the former Chief Executive of Cork ETB. Ted's involved in an independent expert panel that's looking at that issue so that we can support integration at delivery level, and that we can encourage its growth and encourage the consistent learner support that everyone wants to see across all of our provision. So I really am genuinely excited to see one of our biggest education and training boards taking this really important step, and I wish you all the best with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. And as you know, in Cork we always do things slightly differently. We always do them better. And I think we pride ourselves on trying to do them first. And there's no doubt, and you can note this, same as we've noticed your commitment and the commitment of Solace and the Department to the capital development, and that will be a significant part of developing Cork College of FET and delivering for the communities that we've referenced. You can note that we will be making that call, okay? But thank you for being with us this morning, and thank you for those words, and for the fact that, you know, the work you're doing and the work the Solas are doing, and that is very much towards placing FET at the centre of this developing tertiary education sector, alongside our partners and our colleagues in higher education. Before we finish, and that there's a few small things I'd like to do, and one of them, and that is on behalf of the ETB, to make a presentation to you, Andrew, from Cork ETB, to just mark the occasion here this morning. And the piece that we're going to present you is a piece of work that was produced by some of our students in the Tramore Road campus, the students of furniture design. I'm going to get the pronunciation of this wrong, so my apologies, Liz. And the piece is called a coccoloris, right, which is a device and that for casting shadows or silhouettes, and that to produce patterned illumination. It take on the traditional Japanese paper screen, and the one that we have for you is based on salmon scales, and I think it's particularly apt given that the salmon symbolises both the salmon of knowledge from the legend of Bradán Fasa, but also the goldie fish and Chandon. It's best enjoyed, and that is a silhouette against natural sunlight, and that when the shadows come and change as you go through it. The work was produced by our students under the supervision of Mr. Fergus Summers, and one of those students has also composed a small haiku to describe the piece, and it says, "Warm sun shining down, maple, yew and poplar wood, such delicate shadow." So on behalf of Cork ETB, Andrew, I'd like to make this presentation to you. We've got here, you can't see it without the light behind you. We can see it here. And it would also be appropriate, I think, maybe not totally kosher, but to acknowledge Minister Collins and for being with us this morning. And again, because FET is full of talented people, both staff and students, we would like to make a small presentation to you, Mr. Collins, and of a piece of jewellery made by one of our staff members with his jewellery class in our Douglas Street campus. And Chris Samuels is renowned throughout Cork as a silversmith. And I would like to say that the piece you're presented this morning with represents Cork College of FET, but it also sits in the catalogue of pieces that Chris has made over the years, and one of those pieces sits in Buckingham Palace in London. So you're in very, very good company. So Dennis, would you make the presentation, please? So as we come to wrapping up, there's a few short words of thanks I'd like to say. I think the biggest thanks I would like to give initially is to all my colleagues, all the staff within Cork ETB in the further education and training services. And this is an exciting journey, as Helen referred to as magical, but it does have its challenges. It does have those bumps in the road and that we're likely to face, not likely to face, we will face. But the commitment of the staff in Cork ETB over the years has been proven to be outstanding, and regardless of the challenges that we meet in future, and that commitment shows that collectively we will overcome those challenges. So I'd like to thank for the work done, but the work to come, all my colleagues in Cork ETB. For today's event, I'd like to particularly thank the staff here in the Morrison Island campus. There's absolutely no resemblance in this room to what it looked like 2 weeks ago. And to pull off something like this in such a short period of time, and it is a tribute and a testament to the teamwork that happened here over the last 2 weeks, right up till yesterday evening. And I'd particularly like to thank Helen, her management team, but all the staff here for all the work that they put in. Thank you so much for making that. I'd like to thank all our invited guests, Lord Mayor, Mayor of County Cork, Minister Collins, and then invited guests, and then Mr. Brownlee, and then Chairperson of the ETB, Martina, everybody who's been with us this morning. It is a significant event for us, but having people here to share it with us and share that first step on the journey is something that I would really, really like to thank everybody for being here. To our team in Clonakilty, to Teresa and all the staff down there, and particular to Michael Crowley, who was the energy behind making sure that Clonakilty was ready for this morning, and that I'd like to just say a word of thanks. To all my colleagues across the ETB, in head office and in all the centres, for the work you've done so far and the work we'll do. Again, my words of thanks. And finally, none of these things happen without somebody who really oils the machine in the background. That oil in Cork ETB comes from one location, and I'd just like to say thank you and to Claire Creedon for all the work she's put in. Thank you. It's a journey, it's an exciting journey, and I look forward to sharing it with all of you in the years ahead. Gur míle maith. And now that we're officially finished, there are some refreshments. If you go out the doors at the back of the hall and you go to the left, and that you'll find them there. Thank you very much.